We continue to review and return to old days with this extensive saga of Ultimate Ninja games on PlayStation 2 and PSP. In today's chapter, we will take a look at the first of these games to come to PSP. It is August 28, 2007, and this is...
Naruto! Ultimate Ninja Heroes!
Unlike previous titles of the franchise, Ultimate Ninja Heroes would come out as a reduced and lighter version of what had been Ultimate Ninja 2 exclusively for the American and European markets. This means that the chronological difference between the games is wider than you imagine. While Ultimate Ninja Heroes arrived in America in August 2007, in Japan, at this moment, they were already releasing Ultimate Ninja 5. But well, we will give these games their respective videos, taking into account the dates for which they came out in this side of the world. The game itself doesn't have much content, it is a much more digestible version in a casual format for a portable PlayStation. In the beginning they removed the story mode, the cast of characters was also reduced, as well as the scenarios. However, it does not mean that this is bad. No surprise to me that in a creative and production process they would have decided to leave any content that could oversaturate the PSP version. After all, it is still an inferior operating system than the PlayStation 2. At least, from my perspective, they left the most important gameplay elements of Ultimate Ninja 2, not taking into account the outstanding story mode with exploration features. By the time I tried Ninja Heroes for the first time, I was approximately 9 years old, and you know what? It was everything a child would want from a Naruto game in their hands and with the possibility of taking it anywhere. Obviously, the quality requirement from a child's perspective is much lower than someone 18 or 19 years old. Besides, gaming software was not as advanced back then as it is now. That doesn't take away the fact that it managed to reach its target audience where they liked the most, and it was the gameplay of the Ultimate Ninja, even though you take away characters, story and others. Instead, we have a Heroes mode. Here they allow you to play consecutive battles per scenario in which you face teams of 3. You can only choose already known predetermined teams such as Team 7, Kurenai's team, Inochi Kasho, etc. This mode has a tag team combat system, a change that had not yet been seen in the Ultimate Ninja saga on PS2 and which reminded me a little of what the Tenkaichi tag team did. After winning the first match, your character recovers health according to his performance to continue with the next combat. In case you lose, you must use your next partner. If you get to lose all 3, it's game over. But definitely, you cannot restart that same fight. You must overcome all the other scenarios until you reach this point again. The members of each team have special abilities that can be applied before or during combat. There are different types, such as reducing the opponent's health, improving the skills of our partners, sealing the rival's chakra, among some others. Obviously, these have a limit of use. Honestly, very useful tools, as fights can get a little complicated after a certain point. We will talk more in depth about it later. These mechanics are straight, fast, and easy to understand. The characters are also unlocked in this game mode, although there are only about 6 extra characters besides those you are given at the start of the game. But when you manage to complete each stage, you are not only given characters but also items, points, and videos to watch in Naruto's house section, in addition to a little choice that they give you with Pakkun to choose your prize. The points that you earn in the Heroes mode or in the range missions, as is already usual in Ultimate Ninja games, serve to improve the skills of each character in a customizable way. His attack, speed, special techniques, stamina, everything. Do you remember the difficulty issue? Well, it's not like the CPU is super aggressive and won't let you try anything. What happens is that at certain points late in hero mode, the CPU can sub at whatever it wants. It can practically make substitution out of everything we throw at it, without any effort, when it takes us 4 or minimum 3 hits to replace us by mashing the button. So the CPU may become untouchable. It is seriously difficult to beat it in the last scenarios. The substitution system is still very questionable. I would have liked them to make the effort to add a more elaborated AI to the CPU so that its difficulty is not based only on substituting, but also proposes much more work, combos and pressure. Although asking for this in the game that they did as a port for PSP, I think that was too much to ask for. If they ever do that, it would be one of their main titles on console. Let's talk about gameplay changes. The game style had a slight change and it no longer had this art outlined in shadows on the characters, and I personally like that better. It makes the game look more polished. The game has a little more accelerated pace if you compare it with the first Ultimate Ninja or even the second one, and I think it fits very well with the intentions that the game has to make 3 against 3 fights like King of Fighters. The last one has been only 1 for each character instead of 3, and now the animation is considerably shorter. They also removed that command minigame in the ultimate jutsus to counter or follow the animation for a few seconds after we perform the ultimate. Some of them more broken than others, but I guess that dealing the same damage could be considered fair. In my opinion, the last things that were implemented in this version are much better, more in line with the skills of each one, and they are very frenetic, pleasant to see in general. I think that now having only 1 ultimate per ninja, they focused on leaving them only 1 special technique that would characterize them and be faithful to their styles. Although the roster feels smaller with only 20 characters, I feel like it's enough for a PSP version, a compressed content that can be unlocked in 1 single day if you want to, but offered a few extra hours to kill time in random battles back then. This game also offered an interconnection dueling mode, and I normally don't touch this topic too much. These scenarios were too casual. To be able to enjoy this, you needed many factors. First, you have a PSP. Second, have the game. Third, find someone also with a PSP. Fourth, that the person with the PSP also needs to own the game and agree to play with that person in the same place that is not outside the school. Of course, when the situation arrived, it was very entertaining to play the game with something that was not a machine. Besides, the delay was almost not existent with this method of interconnection. But the Ultimate Ninja 2 already existed for that. You only need an extra PS2 controller and invite a friend. That's it. Still, it was always good to have the possibility available on a handheld console. In conclusion, my position is very neutral with this game, a very casual port that the developers wanted to create to expand their saga to a bigger market, with a public that played on portable consoles, with more reduced content than added, but it worked the way it had to work. A title that would pass without pain or glory, but would stay in the memory of many, until finally, a year later, the sequel of the traditional Ultimate Ninja would arrive, which we will be reviewing in the next chapter. I hope you enjoyed this chapter, and as always, I will be reading your comments down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video until the end. That was all for today, and I will be watching you in the next chapter. Take care and see ya!